Oh, we're live.
We're live. Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Hogarth's Global Astrology. And of course, you know the two ladies that you see here with me every week that almost need no introduction, but of course I will. Here we have fabulous Lady G here, loving the new wig and the sparkly décolletage number.
Oh, she sets a whole new standard. I always feel like a bag lady next to Lady G.
Yeah, but you have the accent. I don't have the accent, so you know, it's a trade-off.
Indeed. And of course, below me, we have Dr. Lena Rodriguez down under, who is now in Sunday, of course, 9 a.m. Australia time. And this week, what I've done is, I was actually slightly delayed coming on backstage. So we have just literally just let rip and we're going in. Everyone, when I collected the questions, everyone has obviously been talking about Russia. So we have to start there.
Yes, I think we just have to roll over and do it because the world changed last night, you know.
Just astonishing. So in between when I last checked the news, which I think was, it must have been maybe this morning or something like that. I can't remember because I've been writing. I've been writing all day, and I'm getting really close now, folks. I'm in the last third, and it's full of juicy details. But anyway, and then so I was just like, okay, let me just check the questions and stuff like that. And then I just saw something pop up. So in the last 24 hours, we've had basically if I'm correct, that Wagner group basically kind of declaring a kind of mutiny, effectively, on Vladimir Putin. Oh my goodness. He's made 200 kilometers of progress, managing to seize some little town along the way without any resistance. But now he has just in the last hour announced that he's turning his troops back and that they're going back to their bases. So of course, everything is like, what on earth is going on? So the questions that we have, and of course, everyone, please don't forget to like and subscribe and follow and whatever. It really helps the channel. And of course, the ladies' channels as well are in the video description below. Right. So the questions that have come in. So what's it? We have Patricia Cockerill, who's asked any insights or predictions into what's happening in Russia. Also as well, Suchilol 2477. Some of these names are really difficult. Edith has asked, Annie, at ZZ, and many more. Suzanne. So let's basically go there. So what I scribbled down in the notes. So the troops returning to base. They think Alexander Lukashenko, the leader of Belarus, may have been involved in getting Prigozhin to turn back. Prigozhin has lambasted Putin and his fat cats, he called them, for messing everything up, keeping their own children out of the war, the whole shebang. Yeah. So what I've asked here is, what does this mean for Putin and the war going forward? And I think we probably should look at Prigozhin as well. But let's do Putin first.
Yeah. Now, a little bit of background. Prigozhin used to run a hot dog stand in Moscow. And then when Putin came to power back in the day and surrounded himself with hard men, Prigozhin was one of those that he sort of buttonholed. He then went on to form the Wagner group, which was very small and no one took much notice. Then it got bigger and bigger. And he's one of the worst individuals on the face of the earth. And I heard some stories about him I can't unhear about what he does on the battlefield. So you're dealing with really a battle of the bastards, to quote Game of Thrones, you know.
Yeah, And that's why I think we should read on both. And I think we should also get Shakespeare's opinion on both as well.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, because particularly with this Prigozhin guy, wow, what turns of events.
I'm using the Russian cards for obvious reasons here.
Yeah, makes sense. And you guys will probably remember I was declaring a few months ago with the astrological weather, and I said when Jupiter moves into sidereal Aries, we could see some sudden changes.
You did.
Yeah, on the war front. And I said, is he going to escalate the situation, or is he suddenly going to bring it to the end? We'll have to see what the cards have to say. But this has been the most remarkable turn of events. I mean, my hair is on fire. It's just extraordinary. Right.
I was just going to bed last night and my phone started going ape, and so I thought, what's going on? What's going on? So, yeah.
Wow. So we'll do Putin first and then Prigozhin.
So we're doing Putin first.
Yeah, full spread for Putin. See what's going on here. We've not read on him for a while, actually. This obviously merits more attention. Gosh,
and in the comments, Zendo says, did anyone see Wagner's second in command? He looks like a serial killer. Well, yes.
Probably is.
Would be because that's his chosen profession. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, very interesting. Okay, who's ready to go first?
No, I'm not yet. Oh. I can go now, though, if you like.
Go for it.
Well, the first two cards, we've got the Five of Wands here, and this is like, to me, Putin begging, whether it was Lukashenko or whatever himself, to get me out of this mess tonight. This was a desperate moment. More begging and trailing. We're talking about Putin. Wow. Then in this Russian deck, which is called the 12 Chairs, because back in Stalin's time, when they couldn't speak openly, playwrights would write plays about what was going on. And this is seemingly about chairs. Now, this is called the white card. There's a black card and a white card in this deck that are extra. And it's like, no one knows what the next step will be. It's like the blank room and the blank chair, it's to be written sort of energy.
Kind of sinister.
Yeah. They're fabulous for this topic, for really. So the weeping woman, I think this represents the people of Moscow and Smolkan going, because they woke up in one of the towns to tanks in the street, right? And the last card, the world. This affects everybody.
Very interesting.
Interesting.
Lady G, what do you have?
Yes, well, underneath of it all, the people of Russia now are watching the change of this enterprise when it comes to Wagner, and see that things have shifted and retreat as far as they're retreating from Ukraine and now going into Russia. So what we have at the center of this for Putin is the message of concern with how this is going to move forward and what can he offer for any more achievements, because everything's going south. So going into it, we have the official person, and I think that's the head of the Wagner group. And this could be Putin, the official person, his life path, that now he is really on the edge, being pushed back when it comes to his status. So again, the young people are having some expectations and wanting to overturn. And I think they are appreciative that some of this is leaving Ukraine. Hey, little man. The challenge is the false person, the jungle of this stuff, holding on to his power and being able to put a message about going forward. And he is just trying to anchor things in for him when it comes to holding on to power. Mentally, he's not doing well, and there are still secrets coming up. So it is not looking good. The people are turning, and of course, Wagner is turning, and Putin's got no way to come out of this in a good way.
No.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Well, as you know, I've got my 5 cards here, my 5 cards now. If we look at this, it's quite funny, isn't it? How pertinent, how spirit tunes in. First card that comes out, look at this big old Ace of Swords. Oh dear. Oh dear. A rude awakening for someone. There he was, you know, probably moving around some part of Moscow on one of his secret trains, luxurious trains disguised as public transport, probably having a few blinis with a bit of caviar and thinking, you know, how are things? And then suddenly he's literally got this up the wazoo. So it's, I think now it is abundantly clear to even Putin himself, Lukashenko, who of course is looking out. Now, do you remember when I pulled cards for Lukashenko? I said Lukashenko looks at Putin as a kind of almost a troublesome nephew.
Yeah.
And it's, in a way, it's almost like old uncle, you know, Alexei, has had to kind of do a few little moves here on behalf of his nephew, to kind of sort him out. Officially, of course, this can never be said, but I think we all know the truth here. And of course, this sort of truth is just exposing the sheer level of infighting and just the cray-cray of what's going on. Here's Putin at home, still trying to maintain the happy family. When it couldn't be anything but as we know, the second card in a 5-card spread is the obstacle position, so it may as well be reversed. It's all going pear-shaped. He's still got his propaganda going, but you know, the Russian family, as it were, is just in dire straits. And of course, Prigozhin has obviously called BS on the elite Russian families themselves.
He's broken the code, right?
He has. He really has. So look, here's Putinshka here in the middle, trying to play the good housewife. Everything to go again. But look at the eyes on the coin. He's really worried about his security. We know as well this is a card of security. It's also about values. But we also have to look to see what is surrounding it. If we look here, in a way, this is also talking about Putin as well. Or if we want to take this as the Biden card, this would be Biden sitting pretty, looking at all of this and thinking, oh my goodness, wow. Because when you see your enemies imploding in this way, all one can do is stroke one's chin. However, this is also talking about Putin's emotions as well with the whole situation. This could also be Prigozhin too. I suspect it's probably a lot to do with Prigozhin as well, particularly when you see the card that comes out next. Because the next card that comes out is the Knight of Swords, but reversed. Does this not just sum
It's
up?
last night's story.
It's last night's story, quite literally. So there was Prigozhin rushing in,
galloping in,
literally galloping. There he is on his war horse. He's like, "You douchebag,
doesn't
you killed
care.
Yeah,
no prisoners.
Exactly. But in the last hour, look, the card turned up reversed. Yes, so he's turning straight. I know you can't make this stuff up, can you? But that's the cards. So he's temporarily turned back. I think I might just pull one to see from another deck. Oh, Lena, where's your deck? Oh, look. Lena, I'm going to do
One world.
I'm going to do a one world deck. Let's get this out. And let's pull a clarifier from Lena's One World deck just to see. Obviously, we're going to read on Prigozhin next, but just to see what his immediate feelings are about this turnaround. All right, here we are. Look, you can see, folks. You know, I'll pick with my eyes closed. Let's have a little look. Prigozhin, what can you tell us about Prigozhin? Oh, look at that.
Ooh. Ooh.
Isn't that just spot on? He's not sure what to do now. And he's at a crossroads. He's at a crossroads. But for Putin, this is just, it's disaster. I don't care what anyone says. It's just unmitigated disaster. Shall we see what the Bard has to say about Putin? He's not spoken about him for a while. All right, so Lady G, I think it's you, isn't it? I think it's you.
No, I think it's Lena this time. I think.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So Lena, tell me where to stop, and then we'll see what the Bard thinks about old Putin.
And stop.
Oh. Oh, actually, I think this has come up. This has come up before for someone, but I can't remember. What? Yes. Oh, here, because I read this page here. This page has come up before. I can't remember who it was for, but it's come up before. But I'm going to read the page just before.
Right.
And so here it says here, pernicious bloodsucker of sleeping men. Henry VI, Part 2. Wow. And then the other page is bloody, bawdy villain, remorseless, treacherous, lecherous, kindless villain. So, yeah, I think pernicious bloodsucker of sleeping men really kind of.
I think so. I'm going to use it myself. Pernicious bloodsucker of what men? What sort of men?
Pernicious bloodsucker of sleeping men.
Sleeping men. I thought you said sleeping men.
Yeah, I think that really sums up so much of what Putin has particularly done with this war, because he almost went into it kind of like, oh, look, the puppy.
Oh, it's too cute.
People were asking to see this troublemaker. He's over here biting my feet. He's been an ankle biter.
He's gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. A little bit of naughtiness in there.
He is, of course. Today, while we're doing this, he's going to be naughty. Any other time, he's great.
Oh, well, there you are. Maybe he likes a bit of camera action. But I feel the pernicious bloodsucker of sleeping men describes so much of the energy of what Putin has done. First of all, a lot of these guys went into the conflict literally asleep, didn't they?
Yes.
They didn't know why they were going into this war in the first place. When they were asked, they couldn't come up with any coherent answers. But it also, as well, for me, it speaks very much of the vampiric nature of Putin, quite literally, because he's almost like Vlad the Impaler, isn't he? You know, who literally is the original Dracula. But I think it also, as well, it's like Putin crept up on Russia. You know, he he was very discreet, wasn't he? And he was brought in by Yeltsin. No one really knew what he was about. And it's like he sucked the blood of the whole nation. So
how many years has Putin been in power?
Could someone tell us in the comments how many years has he been in power?
Let's find out.
Because he also very cleverly embraced the Russian Orthodox Church after decades of communism and atheism. Like he cares about God. But it was very clever because he secured all the grandmothers and everyone by doing that.
Oh, indeed. I'm just finding out here. How long? Oh, God. Here we are.
Thinking 22, 23 years since 1999.
So here, it says here, Boris Yeltsin was 1991 to till 1999, 8 years and 5 days.
Yeah.
And Vladimir Putin officially was year 2000, and of course, well, he was first and second term. So and then there was that charade with Dmitry Medvedev, which was 2008 to 2012, when we all know that Putin was driving from the back seat. So let's say it was from year 2000. It's now 2023, so we're looking at 23 years and loose change. Wow.
Yes. And Julie says maybe the church is working against him now. No, Julie, they're not, because he's very tight with the head of the Russian Orthodox Church, who has somehow become an extremely wealthy man in his own right. I can't imagine how that happened. And I have heard the Russian nuclear arsenal has the symbol of the Russian Orthodox Church over the silos that house the nuclear weapons.
Gosh.
So no, Putin and the Russian Orthodox Church, not all the people in the church, the heads of the church.
Yeah.
Like the Vatican, you know.
My goodness. Let's do a pull on Prigozhin and see what his future is, because as horrific as this man is, he has now made himself a bit of a pivoting character in regards to global history, and what happens to him is significant, because I can anticipate, and I'm sure you guys can anticipate, his standing as the leader of the Wagner group is not likely to last long. But nonetheless, he has shown tremendous audacity in what he's doing in terms of threatening Putin's power. So we need to see how this could play out for him.
Because from what I'm reading too, it looks superficially like this is a back down for Prigozhin, but in fact, because Putin went on national television hours before saying we will punish these insurrectionists, it's actually a back down for Putin.
And there was no resistance.
What's that question?
So what's the future for Prigozhin in terms of what happens now with what he's done?
What happens with Prigozhin now?
What happens with Prigozhin? I mean, in many ways, I feel irrespective of what happens, in many ways, it is a bit of a victory for Prigozhin for just a sheer defiance to actually move the troops 200 kilometers in.
It's a one card pull or a full?
Oh, a full one. Yeah, we'll do a full one, because he's quite a main protagonist that we've heard the last from him. Oh, very interesting. Wow. Okay. Who's ready to go?
Well, I can.
Go for it.
Okay, the Six of Wands, the first card represents a victory for Prigozhin, the unpronounceable, for now. But that doesn't last long. So this is, I think, protests behind closed doors, at least in Russia. What do we do now? How can we get the news to Navalny? Is this our opportunity to overthrow everybody and others? You wouldn't know who to trust. These are tense conversations. But this is the people talking here, not high up. He gets the Nine of Pentacles. He better have a nap now, because I don't think he'll be sleeping much in the next week or so. Then the Justice card, whatever that means in the context of, a global mercenary. What does justice mean? What does it look like? And his outcome is the Five of Wands, which is more conflict for the country. And I think it's really upset the apple cart. You see things are turned over here, and a lot of argy-bargy coming up very soon.
Very interesting. Lady G, what do you have?
Well, mine might be totally off the wall because I'm not getting I don't understand him at all. But it's about the family room where he lives that, he's taken off to do what he's doing. He's trying to be versatile with things, and new things are being birthed, new things are coming out with him. Now, there's a new difficulty with his health, with some health things, mentally, a lot of stress and restless. Okay.
Mm.
So he's wanting to move things. The challenge is he's got an expectation of anchoring some things in with a new message he's going to put out, trying to romance the people, perhaps. And as far as his occupation, it's a bit argumentative that he wants to have a victory for his status to be elevated into something.
I like that image of the broomstick there.
Yes.
You see the broom, it's almost like he's coming in and sweeping. I think he's going to be very critical to the future of how this pans out for all of Russia, just through the sheer audacity of what he's done. Because what he's done is he has, on one level, the media are saying, well, he's backed down and this is a victory for Putin and blah, blah, blah.
No, it
but
isn't.
no, it's not. We know it's not. We know it's not a victory for Putin at all.
No.
What effectively has happened to Putin is that Putin has literally had to lift his skirts to run for the television and basically, don't you even dare of thinking of bringing your tanks here, you traitor. Yeah. Prigozhin could have really just kept going. He really could have kept going, because how can you go 200 kilometers into a country and not face any opposition at all?
It says something. He took over 2 military stations.
Yeah, and some
military
people
installations.
Indeed. And some people are saying the people of Russia may actually sympathize a lot with what he said about the oligarchy and their entitled children. And my cards are showing something quite interesting. So again, as you know, spirits listening in, Prigozhin. I mean, it's just hilarious, isn't it? He's turned back. Yeah, he's turned back. And part of him is just like, but this is really, for me, sometimes, sometimes they say this card can mean being helped out maybe by a friend or whatever, and, change of perspective. But let's just take this literally. He has had enough. Yeah. This is leaving with regrets. This is just like, damn you all, a plague on all your houses, and you can all burn to the ground. That's how I'm reading this card with his energy. Look what's come out in the obstacle position. The emotions turn up again. Isn't it interesting? Because I had the King of Cups. Now the Queen of Cups has turned up in the obstacle position. And as we know, as Lady G would say, in here is the Pandora's box, or the crucible of abominations, where he could unleash with so many more damaging stories. He really could be an absolute,
because they've been tight for 20-something or more, 30 odd years. Yeah,
indeed. And I didn't even know that bit. So again, Lena, there are no limits to your knowledge and octopi tentacle abilities.
That's right.
For filtering out information, but they've obviously known for a long time. It means he knows where all of Putin's secrets are, which is probably why he's not fallen out of a window yet or been poisoned. Mind you, Putin might still. We'll have to see. There might be a passenger pigeon with novel claws that could be landing on him soon. Here we are.
Ooh.
The Hierophant. So obviously he's making a huge impact on the government. And I think what really scared him, of course, is everything Prigozhin knows.
Yes.
This means he knows an absolute ton. You never want this card turning up when you've got a lot of secrets, because the person's like, yeah, you want to do me in? Just you wait. So there's so much he knows about the government and its corruption, and that's what he's actually been spilling the beans on. If we look here, he's making plans. This is the card of entrepreneurship, of course. Here it is, the Queen of Wands. This is about a person that brings groups and people together. And of course, this is very much what he has done as the Wagner Group, bringing together these troops, coordinating things, and being reasonably effective. But it also says to me that Prigozhin is using his intuition as well. He knows Putin really well, so it means he can dodge a few of the slaps and the bullets before they actually hit him. But I think he's making plans. And then look at the outcome card. Celebration for him. Could it be that what Prigozhin has done is just enough to shatter the facade of Putin, that there is almost like a celebration behind the scenes for like, yes, at least someone has stuck it to him a bit. Do you know what I mean? Could this also be a certain Zelensky celebrating, probably, you know, having a nice shot or two of very smooth Ukrainian
Rocky or something?
Yeah, at the misfortunes of his enemies. So I think it still remains to be seen how this will plan out, but interesting. Anything to add to that, ladies?
Well, I think you're exactly right. If nothing happened from here, he has shattered the illusion that Putin is impervious. You know.
Which in many ways is almost kind of a victory in of itself. In of itself. Shall we see what Shakespeare has to say about Prigozhin, and then we'll move on?
Yes.
All right. So, Lady G, if you tell me when to stop, we'll see what the Bard has to say about Prigozhin.
Stop.
Ooh. This is really interesting. Oh, this is really, really interesting. All right. On one page, it says, there's a man hath more hair than wit. Yeah. So it's basically saying that he's got more hair than he's got brains. And this is from the Comedy of Errors, which is ironic because Prigozhin is bald. So that means nothing there at all. But look what it says on the other page. It says, it is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound fury, signifying nothing. From Macbeth. Oh, doesn't that just sum him up? I'll read it again. That's very slicey, that one, isn't it? It is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. Very interesting. That
crushing, really.
Yeah, I think that really speaks to the relationship between Putin and Prigozhin. And there has been a lot of bluster, and maybe that's in some ways the reaction that Putin may be feeling, because he's like, you were threatening to come to Moscow, but now you've turned back. But nonetheless, I think it's very interesting. Okay. Shall we move on?
Yeah.
God, we spent quite a lot talking about that, but you know, it had to be covered. It had to be covered. It was very juicy. Right. Let's go to the next question here. This one, we're going to go to the UK, and then we're going to do some USA bits, because there were a few questions that came in. So Brendak has said, hello, Hogarth. Can you read on the UK and the dire economic mess we are in? Will things get better, or will it get worse? And someone else said, what else did they say? They also said, UK question, this is at ZZ. Things are dire in the UK. The Tories have destroyed all quality of life and have caused unrepairable damage to public service. If Labour win the next election, will things get better, or has politics just become toxic regardless of who you vote for? So let's do a poll on the British economy. I'm almost tempted to ask Shakespeare what he thinks of Britain now. It could be devastating. Yeah, let's see what he thinks of Sunak. But let's do the British economy.
The post-Brexit economy.
And do both of you ladies know about the mortgage situation now in the UK?
Yes,
You know?
I was reading up on that yesterday. It's something like 1.5 million, or is it 15 million? A lot of people may lose their houses.
Ooh.
It's just astonishing. So for those that don't know, because of Liz Turd and Kwasi Kwarteng, and you remember I said she's Liz Turd, been in need of a flush for ages. They shouldn't even allow her on the speaking circuit. She's just an absolute joke. But because of that disastrous economic plan they put together last summer, it basically plunged the UK into an economic crisis. And what happened is the ratings and the mortgage stuff zoomed up. And now this is the consequences of those horrible decisions. And some people I've been told, a friend of mine told me personally, that his friend, whose mortgage has come up for renegotiation, has increased by £1,000
a month or something
extra on top per month.
You can't do that on a normal job. You cannot do that. What's £1,000 in American dollars? It's a lot.
It's over $1,200.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's more, even more.
On top of what you would have been paying already.
Yeah.
Just
Which
think
was
of what that is.
all you could afford.
Yeah, it's just ruinous. Some people it's been 400, 500. Oh my God, look at the cards. Wow. Who's ready to go?
I can go.
Go, Lady G.
So they're looking at a pathway for England and having conversations about it, trying to figure out some light when it comes to the power structure, who's in power, and putting all this into place. The thoughts are about the marriage of it and kind of closing their eyes, not seeing a way forward when it comes to the speculation on how to navigate this. The challenges, they need some sort of an offering and a gift. Now, I don't know whether this is somebody leaving or somebody coming in, but at the moment they're feeling out in the cold and they don't even know how they're going to endure through this. There's some new dark elements being talked about, and the message that's being put out is one of needing to have caution going forward. So it's not looking great. People are, talking about it and trying to figure out, what do we do with these people in power and how do we change this now?
Yeah.
Lena, what do you have, as we're joined by over 1,300? Thank you guys so much for joining us.
Hi, guys. And thanks for the donations too. That's very, very good of you. Mine isn't talking so much about the people. It's talking about the government itself. So walking away, this was walking away from the EU. And then after a 4 or 5 year delay, the big stick comes out, reality bites. Really hard. Well, we better get a plan. Look, it has to be all right because we're England. We're the UK, so it has to work, right? So they're juggling like maniacs, trying to justify this rate rise. What can they do? How else can they weasel money out of people who are already strapped to the wall? It's not looking for, to me, with this card, a viable long-term solution. It's just a quick fix. Let's put out this fire. It's that energy to it. They haven't got a clue. They have no clue.
Wow.
No clue. And it's verging on madness now, the Conservative project, and the world is watching. So I think, just to add a little bit to that, I think other countries have watched the UK struggle after Brexit, because everyone's dealing with the far right in their own country go, let's just be Germany again, let's just be this again and that again and that again. And this is what happens. Your economies have been immersed for 40 years. You pull them apart, it is not going to be easy to get back to even where you were, let alone it's basic. It's basic stuff.
Right. England's going to wind up like we have here, all these homeless people in the streets because they can't pay mortgages. They can't get into housing anymore.
And rent is huge.
Yeah. It's really, it's really dire. And the trouble that we have is the sheer number. Apparently, and when I was talking to my friends about this before, but unfortunately, a lot of my friends have been like this of late, not wanting to accept certain kind of realities. And I've been talking about the mortgages going up since last August, since that budget. And I said, people are going to be utterly devastated by this, because they said, I think it was something like this year, this spring, up to it was easily well over 1.5 million. Some say up to 3.5 million, but it's in the millions of mortgages that are essentially either being renegotiated or going up. I think the rate hike, another rate hike happened yesterday. So if we've got people who are having their mortgages go up between £400 and £1,000 per month, that is bankrupting levels of money. Most people don't have that.
Yeah.
But my cards, they're very interesting. I've pulled 5 cards, and 4 of them are major arcana.
Okay. Well, so you're the prince, so there we go.
There we go. So it's obviously the cards are coming through here. So look at this. First card, world card, but we all know what this means. Beginnings and endings, and of course, endings and beginnings. I think what this is a whole pile of BS in the UK coming to an end. This craziness, this whole Brexit experiment has come to the end, and we are virtually naked on the world stage, with everyone looking, going, told you so. Told you that underwear, that dress you wanted to buy wasn't going to keep you warm in winter. It was like a dress put together. It was almost like a Liz Hurley number, a dress thrown together with bin lines and safety pins. Yeah, that's what it was. And the whole world can see it was a whole charade. Even that Nigel Farage, who should go and drown himself if he had any decency, has said, Brexit has failed because of this, blah, blah, blah. And he said he would leave the country, by the way, if he turned out to be debunked. Obviously, he's not on a plane to Rwanda just yet. But anyway, there we are. That's the almost Britain's reputation on a global stage, naked. Yeah. But look, in the obstacle position, oh dear, look, Papa Death. And we already know what's happened to a certain Boris Johnson, and goodness knows, maybe Rishi Sunak is about to be trampled under the hooves next. Who knows? Either way, we are going through a death and rebirth process. We've got beginnings and endings, 2 cards that symbolize that back to back. So this is profound. I also think as well, this is just literally is just talking about the sheer ruin that some people will feel. For some people, I think it will literally feel like a death. And of course, this is going to cause deaths as well. We're in summer now, but winter will come. Yeah. Winter is coming. We've passed the solstice now. Now the days are slowly getting shorter, and you'll have a bit of sunshine soon as well, Lena. Here, look at this. Who's in the middle now? Illumination. Now, normally this is a really positive card, isn't it? But you know who I think this is? When you look at the blondness of that little baby, I think it's Boris Johnson. Yeah. Boris Johnson in the middle, Yeah, the architect for all of Britain's ruin, effectively. Here he is, the little naive boy, because what has happened now, everything has become exposed. It's all obvious. None of this can be hidden. It's all major arcana. Everyone knows that the UK's economy is doing the worst out of the G20 by a long shot. Even Russia's own economy is going to do better than the UK, and they've been in a calamitous war.
Yes.
It's astonishing. So there's Boris in the middle going, yep, I've ruined you all. So now we're going to have to try and rely on the business community. Try to hustle a little bit, try and use a bit of intuition, but are really people listening to their inner voice just yet? Because we all know what needs to happen. If we're going to save business, we're going to have to go back to the fertile fields of Europe that we left behind.
Right.
There's the Empress saying, remember me? Yes. Do you remember that rich harvest you used to have? She's still there sipping wine while we're all there, begging outside. For me, this represents Europe. Will Europe be kind and hospitable? Can we return to the fertile bosom? So I pulled a clarifier and look, 7 of Cups. So what that says to me is a lot of the leadership, maybe not the people, but I think a lot of the leadership are still delusional. But if I take the positive interpretation of this card, it means many decisions are to be made. We've got to turn around. I think we've almost hit the bottom now. Anything to add to that, ladies?
Well, here's the pattern. Conservatives have the reputation for being responsible with money, and Labor and the Dems are seen as mad spenders. What happens everywhere, every cycle, is the Conservatives damage the economy, and the Labor and Dems have to come in and mop it up again. I'm so sick of watching this over 45 years or however long I've breathed politics everywhere, same in Australia. But this is just on steroids because of Brexit. It's dreadful.
And it was so obviously the case. All right, now we're getting in our aeroplane and we are coming to America. So here, at Mary Huddleston has asked, hello, everyone. Today, June 24th, marks the 1-year anniversary, already, of the Dobbs decision, causing the fallout over Roe versus Wade, gutting women's legal rights to bodily autonomy. Can you please read on the future of women's reproductive rights in the US? Will we ever have a society? And there's the ... so the ellipses there. I forgot to click for the rest, but we got the gist of it. What will happen in regards to women's bodily autonomy and legal rights? Will we ever have a society back? I think that's what she's saying.
Right. For other work, I had to look up some statistics yesterday on how the maternal mortality rate in the US, which is already unacceptably high since the overturn, has gone up. And women's serious complications and deaths have increased by 64% in the red states. Partly the articles were saying because doctors aren't sure what they can and can't provide.
Yeah.
So women aren't getting the care they need. I'll just clarify that this second. Not 64% more death, more serious complications.
Complications. Death. Wow. Gosh.
Dreadful.
It's just so utterly backward, isn't it? And barbarian and just weird.
So backward.
Weird and strange and macabre. And
so women's reproductive rights.
Yeah, will it ever come back properly? Let's see. And then we'll read on yet another spill, and then we'll squeeze in Elon Muskrat and Mark Zuckerberg if we can.
If we can.
reproductive rights.
All right, shall I kick off?
Go for it.
This is a terrible and grueling issue for women of reproductive age, and also symbolically absolutely heartrending for every age. Okay. But I do get a Queen of Pentacles coming in, someone sensible and sane. And this is followed by the Six of Swords moving to a safer place, which could be symbolically a change back in the law, or it could simply be because apparently the blue states are absorbing a tremendous amount of people crossing borders, because it could be both those things. I see this Queen of Pentacles as representing reproductive health care. The problem is the situation is so emotional here with this Page of Cups, and a solution needs to be found. And so I'd say probably not before the 2024 election, if the Dems have momentum and take all before them and stuff. That would be one scenario, but not yet. It's more about making do at the moment, just trying to get basic stuff. Yeah.
Terrible. Lady G, what do you have for us?
Well, it's taking the younger generation coming in to charging forward with this and the affair of this, caring about people, etc. They're going to be charging forward. Going into that, we have people that are going to be witnessing about it, the devotion to this, caring about your fellow people. And this, they've had short-term good luck with shutting everything down. Women are, of course, trying to hold on and trying to find a way to make some kind of friendship with government to get something done. The challenge is holding on and waiting for this old cadre to go. But they have the optimism, but they are restless. And they want to have all their rights and have a secure life and health. So it looks like things are moving, but it's going to take the younger people coming in to make the change.
Yeah, I think it will be reinstated eventually. Yeah. Hoagie.
Yeah. So what I've got here, very, very, very interesting cards. So straight off the bat, Two of Swords, which really kind of just describes the whole scenario, doesn't it? The sheer kind of indecision, the difficult choices that any woman who is faced with a pregnancy that she either doesn't want or is not able to carry to term. This is just that huge anxiety. Do I stay in my own state? Do I cross the border? Or even they doing even rules on that? We'll have to see. And there's over 1,400 of you here now as well. Thank you guys for joining us. And happy Sunday for those that join us on a Sunday with a nice coffee. So here we are. We've got the Magician card, and we think, whoa, this is good. But look, it's turned up in the obstacle position. So really, this is almost talking about what? The powerlessness that a lot of women feel now about what? Control over their own bodies. This is a card of control. And effectively, really, it's like that. I mean, like lack of control, but it also talks as well as what about manipulation, machinations, how the political elites are just basically trying to do the whole barefoot and pregnant rubbish all over again, trying to just turn things back to an age before contraception. Here, of course, this is talking about the political situation with them literally trying to get away with it. This is them literally stealing away women's rights, women's access to contraception. What is difficult with this card is, yes, Two Swords are left behind, but it means that camp is no longer able to defend itself adequately. And in many ways, this is what this manipulation has done. With all of these changing of the rules and Roe versus Wade overturning things, it was to weaken women's options. However, we have the Knight of Wands riding in, and this is a very youthful and rambunctious kind of energy. So this could be maybe the youth kind of riding in to save the day. Hopefully, in next year's elections. But I think there's going to be a groundswell. Look, no one has forgotten what the Dobbs decision has done. This is still a hot topic, quite literally. And then look who comes back. The sun comes back. This time it's not Boris Johnson, but this time it really can be, because the sun, along with the Empress, can also denote pregnancy. So I think ultimately, in the end, I think sanity will win out. But it is dependent on Democrats sweeping all before them and getting decent enough majorities to turn things round. If they do, then there could be a sense of enlightenment and blessings in regards to the whole issue around children. So we will have to see. Right. I think we've got time for one more.
Sorry, just one moment. I think this is a really important comment. Thank you, Melissa. Women are getting their tubes tied in increasing numbers, and that'll guarantee a drop in the birth rate and future labour resources, thereby requiring more immigrants to fill the gap. And so it goes.
Yeah.
So it has the opposite effect to what they think they're getting, which is more Anglo, let's face it, that's the code, more Anglo-Americans out there. Leave it to Beaver.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous and completely self-defeating. And you know, you can actually just, you know, pay people. You could actually pay people to have kids. Right. Shall we look at the cray-cray?
Should we do one card? One card.
Let's do a one card pull, because the time has just zipped by. So this is about Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg apparently proposing this cage fight. It's just so crazy.
Yes.
Literally, it's so crazy. They're proposing to have a cage fight with each other. I think there is a subtext beneath it all. First of all, of course, it's completely absurd, but it's clickbait for both of them. But there is word. Well, it's more than word. Facebook are apparently creating their own rival to Twitter, and it's called, what's it called? It's got the very imaginative working title of P92. Isn't that exciting? So Zuckerberg is working on that, and he also does Brazilian jiu-jitsu. So I think if it came to that, it would be very interesting to see who wins. Although Elon Musk has said he's got a special move, which is called the Walrus, where he says, what I do is I just flop on top of someone and I just hold them there with my body weight.
Oh, no. What an attractive image, Elon. Thanks for sharing that. Oh, my God.
Can imagine.
Look,
So
you know, is it going to be wet T-shirts? Where next? Like, really?
Gosh, it's just, you know, I have a feeling, you know, there are a lot of bored billionaires out there who are looking for thrills. They really are.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's pull one card. All right. Are we ready?
Is it a one-carder?
Yeah, we'll do a one-carder.
Yeah.
All right. After 3. 1, 2, 3.
Ah!
How interesting. What a mix.
Funny.
All right. Lena, how do you interpret your card?
Well, it doesn't really even need it, does it? You know, like, it's, what is it about testosterone? And look, is Elon carefully masked steroids or something? What is really behind this? He wants to prove something to somebody, you know. Yeah.
That's what it's looking like. Lady G, what about you?
Well, it doesn't look like it's going to work really well for him.
No.
We have a little bit of retreat here.
Yeah, I think that would be wise.
And Hoagie.
Yeah, is here. You know how I'm interpreting this, but particularly when we're dealing with slippery characters. And as you know, this is not a traditional interpretation at all. It's an intuitive one. But as you know, I always ask, what is under the skirts of the Empress? And for me, this is telling me there is something under the skirts of this. I think this is a promo. Look, we got two billionaires, who are bored, clearly bored, don't know what to do, because when you've got more money than God and you can buy anything, guess what? This can actually be quite an immobilizing feeling. There's no need, to get out of bed. So you've got to start getting creative, haven't you? When you can buy the whole world, you've got to start getting creative. And I think what this means is they want to see this as a win-win for the both of them. Because what it will do is it will add, if they do get into a ring and this absurdity cage fight actually does happen, first of all, it's going to be an absolute smash box office success, of course, as the Empress would imply, because everyone wants to see, just for the sheer absurdity factor, who's going to win and does Elon stand a chance? Yeah. But what this will also do is, as we know in sitcoms and in magazine papers and stuff like that, there's nothing like a juicy rivalry to get everyone talking about you. And guess what? It ends up helping sales, because once they physically fight, then their electronic and Uber fight only adds spice to that. And I find it also very interesting because planet Uranus, which deals with, I've found, billionaire tech guys, is in the sign of Aries, which is about fights and battles. So I think there's something under the skirts, ladies, that both men are looking forward to. Let's put it that way. Anything to add to that? We have just hit time.
Right. I'd like to share Anastasia's comment here, because people do feel powerless in these times generally. It's understandable. But she's saying the Democrats need your help to get re-elected. Please consider volunteering, writing postcards, texting, signing up people to vote. Every bit helps and makes a difference. And I'd like to endorse that idea, because by doing something, you can volunteer 2 hours a week or 2 hours a month to help momentum in voter registration. And so this, every bit helps. And it means during that time you are volunteering or doing it, you're meeting like-minded people, which gives you more energy. So I would recommend that.
Yeah, indeed. We live in very bizarre and unusual times. We really do. I mean, think about it. When has we ever heard of two billionaires potentially posing each other for a cage fight, But such are the times.
Well, if you think back, it was Henry VIII jousting, and all of that stuff in fake fights, in rigged tournaments. And it makes you wonder about the quality of this. Yeah, I'm sure it will be very interesting to see what happens. But as usual, the time has flown. So folks, thank you so much for joining us this evening. Happy Sunday to those that are seeing us on Sunday. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. And the links to the ladies' channel are also in the video description as well below. We really appreciate your support, joining us here and supporting us in this show. And I hope we've given you entertainment as well as education, one would hope. And I think just very interesting, wasn't it, with the Russia thing? I think we're seeing a big change happening in the world. Yeah. But it's been wonderful to be here. And of course, you will see us next week. And it's so lovely seeing your puppy as well, Lady G.
Thank you.
Can I squeeze in one more comment from Cheryl Simpson? You can volunteer to work for Election Canada, and they also have paid positions. So choose your country. There we go.
Yeah. Very interesting. All right. We will leave it for there now, folks. Thanks so much for joining us. Lots of love, and we will see you next week. All right. Bye-bye for now. Cheers.